y'all. Welcome to Criminally Creative. Today is Sunday, August 17th, 2025, and this is episode 87. I'm Susan. You can find me on Ravelry as Legal Eagle and on Instagram as Criminally Creative #1 with the #1 behind it. If you're new here, I appreciate you checking me out, and I hope you like what you see. If you do, please like, subscribe, do all the things. If you're returning, as always, appreciate you coming back. It's been about just over 2 weeks since I last recorded. I was going to try to do this Friday night, and I just didn't get to it. So it's Sunday afternoon, and it's time to show you what I've been up to. Hearsay, since I last talked to you, my friend Michelle and I went to Greensboro for the day. I think it was the day right after I last recorded. And we went and checked out a store called Reconsidered Goods, which is kind of like a reuse store that has a lot of stuff for craft supplies. It also has other stuff, but so enjoyed checking that out. The only thing I bought were a couple of interchangeable needle tips that I actually thought were one thing that they weren't, but I can still use them. But excuse me. And then we went to did we go eat lunch? We went and ate lunch first. I was trying to remember if we went and ate lunch first or went to the store first. Went and had lunch at a pizza place, like a local oven, what do they call it? Brick oven type pizza place. I don't know what this is. Sorry. And then we went to Stitch Point, which is a needlework shop in Greensboro that has yarn for knitting and crochet, has needlepoint, and also has cross stitch. I would say they are probably half needlepoint, a good chunk of yarn, and 25% cross stitch. Excuse me. But they do have a really good floss selection. So, and they have like most of the most recent patterns and stuff like that. I'm not trying to imply that they don't have a decent cross stitch supply, but that's not their main focus in my opinion. But it's a nice store, and it's the closest one to me to actually go in person. So we did that. Let's see, what else did we do? Last weekend, I'm sorry, of course, you start recording, start stitching. Last weekend, my mom and I went up to Statesville. I had picked up a spinning wheel for someone here in my area and met her. She lives in the Asheville area, so she met me in Statesville for me to hand off that wheel to her. And then my mom and I spent a few hours there. My mother is originally from Statesville and has some family property there, and went and visited my aunt and hung out with her for a little bit. I had not seen her in probably over a year. So it was good to visit with her for a little bit, and we just kind of hung out. Saw one of my cousins who there's a lot of them that all live kind of in that area. So just hung out with Mom for the day, and visited the old home place, so to speak. But and then yesterday I met up with my friend Christina up in Wake Forest, and we just sat at the library and knit for about 5 hours. Cross stitch for about 5 hours. I have knitting sitting here in my lap, and for some reason that's what came out. Cross stitched for about 5 hours and chatted and caught up, and then went and had an early dinner, and then came on home. So that was nice to hang out with her for the day. And that's about it. Work has been, relatively quiet. We have work to do, but it's not crazy busy or anything. I think, no, they had just finished doing some stuff, I think, last time I recorded. So they are scheduled to come in again, I think, in another week or so, but I don't know that they're doing anything. Who knows? I don't know these days. It's not crazy busy right now, at least. So anyway, that's about it for Hearsay. Verdicts, I have no verdicts this week. I have not finished anything, either in cross stitch or knitting or any of that. So we'll move straight into Court is in session. I'm only going to show you one knitting project today. I have worked a little bit more on my socks. I've worked a little bit more on the current muscle burr hat. And I've worked a little bit more on a baby blanket, but none of them look much different other than there's just a little bit more done. So, but I did want to show you something I have cast on new. This is in just a wintery bag that I made. And I cast on another litmus. If you've been following me, you saw last fall that I made litmus cows for all of 3 of my nieces in their school colors. And I decided that I wanted one in Carolina colors for the football games this fall. So I had a mini skein set in my stash that would work. So I started that. This is the Litmus Cow by Jude Harper. And for all of my knitting projects, I do have project pages on Ravelry. And again, I'm Legal Eagle on Ravelry. So you can go there and see if I don't give you information that you want. This is as far as I've gotten, like 5 colors. I think I've started the 6th one. It's a 10 mini skein set. I don't have, I'll put a picture up here of what the whole mini skein set looks like so you can kind of see the colors that are in it. And I'm basically alternating the lighter whitish ones with the more bluish ones in kind of a gradient, and it'll get repeated several times. So and that will be kind of my Carolina cow for the football games later this fall when it gets cooler and I need something around my neck. So that is all I'm going to show you for knitting. And we will move into the cross stitch. I've worked on like 10 projects in the last 2 weeks. It is August, so I'm kind of doing arbitrary August. I mean, I am doing arbitrary August, but I'm doing it partially structured, partially arbitrary. I took the projects that I knew I needed to get certain amounts on this month, and I think it's Whip Warriors, there's an arbitrary August event where you set like 31 different goals, and they're spinning a wheel and telling you a number each day, and that's the goal you do. So I kind of took the projects I knew I needed to set goals, and I divided those into like smaller stitch count and split those up between those 31 days. And then for like 2 of the days, I think I just have Whip of Choice for like 500 stitches. And so that's kind of how I'm working through my goal pieces this month. Although I'm not completely caught up. Like my O Feathers, which is the one I'm using for Andrew's Whipping to Shape challenge, has been called again, but I've already done this week's stitches, and I won't do stitches again until either tonight. I could do them tonight or tomorrow. So that call will get done in the next day or so, even though it was called like 3 or 4 days ago, because I had already done the stitches for the week. I do I'll talk more about that when I get to that project. But and I know a couple of them I may have to work a little bit ahead, and I may not hit all 31 goals as they're called. I may hit a couple of them ahead of time, so I won't be able to count them for the Whip Warriors challenge. But you get in Whip Warriors, Whip Warriors is a Facebook group that is currently closed. It will open up again probably around November if you want to check it out, but it is a participation required book. God, I can't even talk today. Facebook is what I'm thinking of. It's a participation required group. And so you have to participate in a certain number of challenges, and successfully participating in challenges earns you threads, and you have to have a certain number of threads to stay in the group, and they do it kind of quarterly. So at the end of each quarter, if you don't have X number of threads by the end of that quarter, you will be removed from the group. So if you like Facebook games and challenges, it's not hard. It's not hard to stay in the group if you just do 1, maybe 2 events, depending on which events you do. But the events do require that you post like starting pictures and ending pictures and that sort of stuff. But they do have challenges that don't require you to count stitches. If you're not a stitch counter, there are some that you can do, or actually most of them have some way to participate without actually counting stitches, and instead counting the time that you stitch. But if you like that sort of stuff, when it opens up in like, say, November or so, check it out. From like whenever it opens up till the end of the year, you can like play the games at, through the end of the year to kind of get a sense of whether or not it's something that you will like. And then before the end of the year, there'll be a time period where you have to choose there's options for the way you participate. I do what they call sweewee, stitch what you want when you want. There's no limitation on projects I can stitch on, projects I can start, anything. There is a stream where you pick, like this year it's 25 projects, that these are the 25 projects you'll work on, or you have 25 slots for projects and you can't go outside of that. You don't have to fill them all at the beginning of the year. And then there's also, I think, a stream for like no new starts at all. So but I mainly use it to play the games and do sweewee, because as you'll see later in this episode, I have a lot of whips. Anyway, that was all random to way to get around back to where I was saying is I am doing Arbitrary August, so I'm doing most of my gold pieces through that challenge. But then I have a wheel myself that has all of my whips. Well, I've got several wheels, but the wheel I'm using is I created a wheel of all the whips that I had not yet worked on in 2025. And so I am spinning that periodically just when I feel like working on something different, and pulling that out and doing at least 500 stitches on it. So that is why in 17 days I worked on 10 projects. Anyway, let me stop rambling and show you some projects. First up is if you're first let me say, if you're new here, as I talk about projects, I will post a picture up of what the project will look like when it's finished. And then if there is one available, I will post a picture of what it looked like the last time that you saw, that I showed it, that you saw it. And I will try to do those side by side with the current so you can see the progress. Sometimes that's easier than others, depending on whether I remember to hold the current project in the right place for it to show. Anyway, first up is in this bag done by Lynn X Stitch Creates with the Ruth Bader Ginsburg bag. And this is Kingdom of Books. This is the full coverage piece that I am finishing this year. I'm doing at least 3,000 stitches a month on it, and at that rate I should finish the cross stitching the X's by the end of October, which will give me 2 months to do what back stitching I'm going to do. I'm not going to do all of back stitching. I still have this in the Q-snap. I'm not going to pull it out for today because at the end, when I record again at the end of the month, I will show you the whole piece. So this is where it currently stands. I'm working over here, and I have done, so far I've done 2,000 stitches on this month. My goal for the month is 3,000. I finished up all of this in the brown house book, and I've been working on this last green one. This is the end of the project. And like I said, I'm not going to pull it out. I've done like all the way across at the bottom, so there's a chunk here in the middle that's going to have to be finished afterwards. So what is left here is less than 1,000 stitches, so by the end of the month you will see the area that I still have to finish. So this one is definitely getting done this year. I need to tell you all my stuff. Just running my mouth and not telling you stuff I normally tell you. So this is a kit, a Russian kit that I bought quite a few years ago. This is actually my oldest whip. I started this about August 31st of 2016. I'm not sure the exact date because I wasn't really recording stuff back then exactly. Like I said, it's called Kingdom of Books. I've always said the designer was make it with your own hands. But then there's something else on my pattern. I don't know who the designer is. I don't even know if you can still get this kit. You probably can if you search the web. I'm doing it with all the kit, everything, kit fabric, kit floss, everything. Because at the time that I started this, I was just getting back into cross stitch. I had never really done anything but 14 count Aida, and didn't even occur to me to not stitch the background like some people have done, change the fabric, any of that stuff. I just did it like it was presented in front of me. So since you last saw this, I have done 2,066 stitches. I am currently at 89.9% on this. So like I said, if I do the last 1,000 stitches I need to do this month and the 3,000 the next 2 months, which it won't require, I think when I finish this 1,000, it will be under 6,000 left. It'll be close to 6,000, but in October I will not have to do a full 3,000 stitches. So, next up is in this bag from Sherry So Sweet. Okay. This one is also in the Q-Snap. This is from Sherry So Sweet. This is Let Freedom Ring by Leela Studio. This is the project that Nancy, the Disorderly Stitcher, aka the Evil Enabler, or the Evil Genius, had the bright idea to try to finish before the United States' semi-quincentennial. Did I say that right? If I didn't say it right, I'll put the word across the screen. I think it's semi-quincentennial. And I had already started this as a whip, and I decided that was a brilliant idea, so I divided up the number of stitches that I had left, which was most of the pattern, by the number of months I had left at that point, and determined that in order to finish it by the end of June next year, I needed to do about 2,200 a month as of right now. I will reassess that at the end of this calendar year and probably up that just a little bit, because some of this has 1/1, which is not really included in that stitch count, and there is back stitching, which is not included in that stitch count. So I probably will need to do more than 2,200 stitches a month next year, starting in January, but at that point I will have dropped some of these other goal things. So anyway, so far this month I've only done 429 stitches on this, so I've still got more to do, so I'm not going to take it out of the Q-Snap. You'll see the full piece at the end of the month. I started this November 9th, 2023, which was the day that we celebrated, I think that was the day we celebrated Veterans Day that year. Let me look at my notes real quick. I want to say that was the day that we celebrated Veterans Day that year, so that was kind of why I started on that date. Lost my train of thought. I'm doing this on 40 count, Picture This Plus in the colorway Vellum. I'm doing it with all the called for floss, which is a mix of DMC and some fancy floss. And like I said, since I last showed this, I've only done 429 stitches, which were these 4 and the start of this kind of bush. These are not symmetrical, and I noticed on the other side they are. So I might end up pulling that one out and making it symmetrical, but I may just leave it. I don't know. It depends how much it bothers me once I get more under there. So, so that's basically what I've done on it since you last saw it, and I am at 34.6% on this. Next up is in this bag from Lynn X Stitch Creates. This is O Feathers by Rosewood Manor, which is the project I'm using for Andrew the Running Stitcher's Whip into Shape challenge. I started this on May 15th, 2021. I'm doing it on the I don't remember if it's called for. I'm doing it on 36 count antique white, just Zweigart, in the called for sulky thread. And this is where it is. So we're getting close. This has turned out to be, so where I'm just working my way over here. So I've been working in that area and I'm working way down. This has turned out to be a really good project for this because it is a lot of color changing and a lot of hopping around. And so I get 300 or 400 stitches in it, which is about what I need to do each week for Andrew's running. And I'm done. So this has turned out to be a pretty good project for this challenge. I have done 1,004 stitches since you last saw it. I'm currently at 84.4%. It has right about 2,000 more stitches to do. I've got about 3 more weeks of Andrew's running to stitch. I think he's got like 2 more weeks to his marathon, but I stitched like a week behind. So that 3 more weeks is not going to get me quite to that 2,000, but I will keep it out and finish it sometime in probably September or October. I might make this the one that I take to barefoot to finish to ring the bell, so we'll see. I think that's I think that's everything I was going to tell you about this. I have decided, the pattern has initials and a date at the bottom, like between that bottom border and the feathers and fan, like the initials on the left side and the date on the right. I've decided I'm just going to leave that out. I don't need that on there, and I like it better without it, I think. I mean, I will put my initials and a date small somewhere because I like to kind of sign my work that way, but I don't need it to be big and part of the pattern because I don't know what I'm gonna do with that yet. It's not gonna get framed, I know, unless somebody that, you know, is directly in my life wants it and wants to frame it. I think it's more likely to end up being a pillow or maybe even the side of a project bag or just something fun like that. So, I think I said that I started that May 13th, 2021. I'm not sure. If I didn't, I said it. If I did, I said it again. If I didn't, there you go. Next up is in this project bag from the Brass Button with koala bears on it. This is my first Whip Go call for the month. This is Treasure Hunt Bookshelf, which is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, based on artwork by Amy Stewart. I started this in about July 13th. Actually, I misspoke earlier. Kingdom of Books is my second oldest whip. This is my oldest whip. I started this about July 31st of 2016. Again, not sure about the exact date because I didn't really keep up with that stuff back then, but close enough. This is a huge project, and have not done a lot on it. I reassessed last year, and what I have done, I have the fabric this is like folded in half, the fabric for the entire thing. This is just 25 count, even weave. It's not gridded. I'm drawing a grid as I go. I reassessed last year, and what I have done, and so I'll put a picture. Here's what the pattern looks like in its entirety. I love the whole pattern. But last year I had kind of a come to Jesus with myself that was I ever going to get this done? And I decided I didn't want to abandon it. But the possibility of me finishing the entire thing with all the other whips I have was not likely because I don't focus on it the way I would need to finish it in my lifetime. So what I have done instead is I have cropped the pattern to be like the whole left side from top to bottom. And I'll put a picture here of what I've cropped it to, what it will look like when I finish the crop. But I have not cut my fabric because I've left open the option that whenever, be it 2 years, 5 years, 20 years from now, I finish that cropped part. If I decide I want to do more of the pattern, I could. So, you know, who knows, at some point, 5 years from now, I might decide I want to be not monogamous for a year and work on nothing but this. Not likely to happen, but it's possible. So the percentage I give you for this is for the cropped version for now. But just, I have all the fabric because I haven't cut it off in case I, somewhere down the road, decide I want to try to do more of it. So this is where it is. I have done, since you last saw it, I did 812 stitches. My Whip Go goal for the month is 1,600 stitches. And if you're new here, the way I do my full coverages is I basically pick an open spot somewhere towards the top, you know, where top most left of my pattern where I haven't worked, and I thread my needle with that color and I go wherever it takes me till that thread is done. And then I go back where something needs to be filled in. So this time I filled a lot of stuff in here, and then, you know, obviously some of that got carried over into there. I think some of it got carried down there. So unless I do a couple thousand stitches, it's not always completely obvious where I've worked, but hopefully you can kind of see some of it. So I did 812 stitches so far. I'm currently at 12.8% of the cropped version. So I've still got about another 800 stitches I need to do on this month. And my second whip go call has not been pulled up on the arbitrary August challenge. Arbitrary August challenge that I'm doing. So that's one that, like, you know, if, say, by middle of this next week, sorry, my eye started itching. If by, say, middle of this next week it has not been called, I will pull out and start working on some anyway. Just because I'm not going to wait and do it all the last 2 or 3 days. Flip over. Okay, next up is this project is also in the Arbitrary August Challenge that I'm doing. It's in a project bag that I made. And this is Haunted Library Sal. This is also, I need to write this hashtag down because I forgot. Is it Kenny Stitches that's doing the Abandoned Sal? Is that the hashtag? Abandoned Sal, I think is what it's called. I'll make sure that if that's not right, I'll put it across the screen. And I think it's Kenny Stitches that's doing it. If it's not, I will also put that across the screen and link whoever it is in the description box below. So this is one of my sals that I wanted to work on this month. It hasn't been abandoned. I've been working on it here and there, but it's one of the sals I'd like to get finished sooner rather than later. So like I said, it's Haunted Library. I'm leaving it in the Q-Snap because, again, I have more to do this month. So at the end of the month, you will see the full piece. I mean, this is what it'll look like when it's finished. And I am doing this on 40 count linen from Fortnite Fabrics, who is no longer dying, in the colorway I Try. I started this July 22nd, 2022. I started it when it was a sal, but I knew, and if you're new to the cross stitch, sal means stitch along. I knew I would not keep up with it. So since you last saw it, I've done 806 stitches, which were in the vampire and all in this general area. And I am currently at 65.3%. So this is another one I would like to finish this year. And it's possible if I just keep steadily working on it. I don't remember exactly how many stitches it has left, but I think it's 6,000 or less. So it's definitely doable as long as I kind of keep pulling it out. Now we're going to get into the ones that were definitely more, you know, the truly arbitrary August, either from my wheel or just, you know, randomly pulled out. This is in a bag from Como Stitches. It's not a Halloween project, but that's what's in it. I mean, that's what I had to put it in. This is a Dimensions kit called Frederick the Literate. I started this December 29th of 2023. There we go. And I'm doing it on the kit fabric, kit floss, all that stuff. I had to sew fabric around the edge to be able to get to the edges because, you know, kits never give you a lot of extra fabric. So, I mean, there's plenty of fabric, but I like to stitch in a Q-snap. So in order to put it in the Q-snap and have room where my hand could fit, I had to put the fabric around it. So this is where it is. Since you last saw it, I've done 627 stitches. I had done, I think, all this. What I did, and I'd done some of this, I worked up here so I could get to that, and then I just did that. So I prefer to work from top left, but with the kits, I usually start in the middle just because I don't know exactly how much extra fabric they gave me. So I have worked my way to the top left, and from now on I'll work that way. And sometimes I go across, sometimes I go down and work, you know, wherever, but it will spread out from the top left. So like I said, I have done 627 stitches since you last saw this, and it's currently at 5%. If you've never done a Dimensions kit, this is one that does not have a lot of extra stuff. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure if it has any half stitches. I can't find the right page right now. I don't think... I'm trying to find the page that has the... Oh, it shows the chart. Yeah, it's all full crosses. It does have some backstitch. It has a little bit of couching, and it has a few French knots. But it doesn't have a lot of, you know, the half stitches. I think it has a couple of blends, but it's all cross stitch as far as the stitches go, other than a little bit of back stitching and a small amount of couching and French knots. Couching is when you have a long strand of, like, I'll say you've got, say you were doing something that had a fishing line, and you had a long fishing line that you wanted to look like a solid line. Couching, you take the same thread and you come up and over that line and back down into the same hole, and you're basically gently tacking it down so that line, you know, doesn't flop all over your page, but you don't have the separation of the back stitch. That's not a really great explanation. There's videos on YouTube that will explain it much better than me if you really want to know what it is. Excuse me. And I think I said I started that December 29th of 23, but if I didn't, I just did. Next up, when I spun my wheel, is in this bag from Lynn X Stitch Creates. This is Autumn Cloche. Sorry, I think that's how you say that, Cloche. From Hello from Liz Matthews. Sorry, my nose is itching again. I started this on November 9th, 2022. And I am doing it on 40 count Atomic Ranch in the colorway Vapors. And I'm doing it with the called for MPI silk. Sorry, trying to get my fabric to lay flat so you can see it. Well, I take that back. I am doing it with mostly the called for MPI silk. I have changed, you see the snails and the butterflies. The picture looks very, on the pattern page makes those look very blue-green. In reality, the flosses that were called for were very gray-gray. Like the zigzags along the bottom, that gray is supposed to be in those butterflies and snails, but that's just not blue at all. So I have swapped to different MPIs. Here, I'll show you, try to show you. So the 3 MPIs that were called for those butterflies and everything were those 3. You see, one of them's even almost brown. But, you know, I'll put up the pattern picture. To me, all that looks blue. So for some of those, I have swapped out. I am kind of swapping out with these 3. And I'm, you know, in some places I'm using the called for, like that bottom zigzag, I'm using the called for gray. But in other places I'm swapping out for something that's a little more blue and looks to me more like the pattern picture. It does mean I've realized, you know, some of the variation isn't showing up as well in the butterflies, but, you know, I like it. So anyway, since you last saw this, I did 505 stitches. And I am currently at 28.3%. So I really like working on this. I did, this time I carried this line up a little bit. I started this over here. I worked more on this where I could get with where I was in my Q-snap. And I did a couple of these little butterflies. I think that's everything that I did. Next up, came up on the wheel. This is in a Sock Monkey bag by Lynn X Stitch Creates. but it also fits into the abandoned sow and is another project that I would love to get finished this year, or at least sooner rather than later. And you're actually going to see this more this fall, and I'll explain that when I get to the on the docket portion. But this is Schoolhouse Rock Sow, designed by Katie at Black Needle Society. I started this September 3rd of 2023, and again, I started this when the sale started, and I actually did try to keep up with this for a while, but I knew I would not be able to completely keep up with it. So I'm doing this on 36 count Be-Stitch Me linen in the colorway Ocean Blue, and I did 1,459 stitches on this because I pulled it out and I was having such fun working on it. So I did mostly, I filled in all this over here, and I started this field. I did her legs. Yeah, so all this green field, I don't know if you can see where there's some of it, there's more done there. And this is currently at 41.5%, so it will go up from here. I think when I finish this field, the darker green through this field, then I'm going to work up this side because I want to get to Bill. I'm Just a Bill is my favorite Schoolhouse Rock. And of course, since, you know, that's what I do for a living, it's kind of appropriate. Next up, this one I didn't spin a wheel for this. I just decided I wanted to work on it, and this is the project I took with me yesterday to meet Christina because it's on Ada, and so that made it a little easier. I didn't have to take as much stuff with me to sit in the library and stitch. This is in a bag made by Memory at Barefoot Needle Arts. This is Nature's Peace by Carriage House Samplings. I started this September 30th of 2024. I'm doing this as a stitch along with Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher. The hashtag is Nature is My Peace Sal. And I started this last year on our trip out west. We went to Grand Teton, Yellowstone, and Glacier National Park, and Cody, Wyoming. And so I wanted to, it goes fast when I work on it. So this is another one that I would like to finish sooner rather than later. I'm doing it on a 22 count Be-Stitch Me Ada in the colorway Scroll. And this is where I am. Like I said, I worked on this yesterday. I did 496 stitches. I finished this elk and his antlers. Did a few little things in here, and have started doing the green on that birch tree. This is the total width of the piece, so it goes up a little bit more. But like I said, I did 496 stitches yesterday, and I broke the 50% mark. I'm currently at 50.8% on this. So, like I said, I don't know if I'll finish it this year, but I want to keep working on it here and there regularly and get it finished sooner rather than later. And I'm doing that in DMC. And then last up is in this bag that I bought when I went to the Greenville, the Flossy Floozies all-day stitch in Greenville this spring, I think it was. I think it was this spring sometime, March maybe. I don't remember exactly when. And this is a milestone piece because this is a new start, which means I now officially have 100 whips. The floodgates have been opened. I don't know what it is about actually hitting that point that I now feel like, well, I've already hit 100. I can just start everything. Who cares? I'm still under 200. So I don't have any definite plans to like just start stuff randomly, but I do have a bunch of stuff I'd love to start. So we'll see how it goes. I may show up next time and have started 5 new things. I may have started nothing. I don't know. I started this August 14th, just a couple days ago. I'm got to tell you what it is. This is Beatrix Potter's Christmas tree pattern is by Green Apple Co. This is an out-of-print chart. I bought it from a D-Stash, and the D-Stash I bought it from had another Beatrix Potter chart, which I also bought to send to my friend Sarah, Memphis Sarah E, because I thought, and I correctly, that it was one that she was looking for. So I am doing this on 32 count Oak Crown Lugana in the colorway Crystal Ball. And this is kind of a wider piece, and so I started at the top center. Am I got it right side? Yeah. And so this is where I've gotten to. The hashtag for this, so I didn't finish saying, Memphis Sarah E and Sarah, Memphis Sarah E, who is the owner of Stitchers Memphis, and Pam from Just Keep Stitching, sorry, who is PG Soap on Instagram, started a stitch along to stitch anything Beatrix Potter. And this is the pattern I know Sarah's doing. I think it's the pattern Pam's doing also. It's called Beatrix Birthday Sal is the hashtag. And Beatrix Potter is, you know, something I kind of grew up with. A lot of it is cutesier than I like, but I did really like this pattern. So I happened to find it on a D-Stash, and I thought it was meant to be, and ordered it. And it came in this week, and so I have done 719 stitches on this, and it is currently at 3%. So I don't know that I will work on this consistently this fall, but I probably will at least try to pull it out again around Christmas time if I don't work on it again before then. So that is whip number 100. When I posted about that on Instagram, and you know, I tagged Sarah and Pam because they're doing the stitch along, but I also tagged Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff, and I was like, finally broke the barrier. I'm still behind her. I think she's up to like 102 now. No, she may be up more than that. I don't know, but anyway, but yeah, I don't know what it is about having actually hit 100 that now I feel like I just can like start anything I want to. I've always, for the past year or so, I've kind of been like, as long as I'm under 100. I don't really, it doesn't bother me to have 100. It wouldn't bother me to have 150, other than I want to work on all of them. And so if I have that many and I only work little bits and pieces, it takes forever to get stuff done, largely because I am so drawn to such large pieces. And when I do a small, you know, like that 4th of July round that I showed you last time, I get to the point where like, well, I'm just going to finish this. So anyway, that is it for the stitching. On the docket, I still have more to do on all of my gold pieces for the month. I've still got 1,000 to do on Kingdom of Books. I've still got, you know, 1,800 or so to do on Let Freedom Ring. Another 800 on Treasure Hunt. My other Whip Go piece for the month is Quarantine Cats, and I have done nothing on that. I need to do 1,500 stitches on it. I will work on O Feathers each week for about 400 stitches. I think I'm gonna, these last 3 weeks that I need to stitch, regardless of what he actually stitched, I'm gonna do at least 400 stitches. If he ran 43 miles, I'll do 430. But if he only ran 35 miles instead of 350, I'll do 400, so that I can get at least 1,200 more stitches in the challenge, and then that will should leave me less than 800 to do to get it finished. So let's see what else. Haunted Library, I want to do at least 2,000 this month on that, and I think I've done, what did I tell you? I've done 806, so I still want to do about 1,200 more on that. At some point this month, I would like to do my 600 stitches on Anzac, which is my Leap Day project. However, if I don't get to that this month, I will do 1,200 in September. That, if I feel motivated to pull that out one day, I'll pull it out and do it. But if I don't get to that, I'll just do 1,200 in September. Speaking of September, I am going to play 2 games in September. Well, 1 game in September, and I'm going to do a challenge this fall, another challenge this fall. So Andrew's Whip into Shape is ending because he is running his Sydney Marathon the end of this month. If you watch Flosstube, you may have heard a lot of people talking about gridiron gridiron grind. I can't get words out today. And a lot of people are doing various permutations of that challenge. Most people are doing that with pro football, and you know, some people are doing preseason, some are not. Some are, you know, doing just the 10 stitches per point that their team earns, and then there's people who always go above and beyond, like Jessie Marie. I think she's doing the points. She's doing the Buffalo Bills, I think, and she's doing points, 10 stitches for every point that the Bills score. And she's also doing something for, I can't remember his name. I don't really follow pro football. One of their star players rushing touchdowns, you know, so much for that. And then she's also doing, I think, rushing yards. Or is it offensive yards? I don't know. She's doing something with yards achieved by her team. I am going to do a version of Gridiron Grind, but of course, I'm going to do UNC football because UNC is the football team that I follow. So I'm going to do college, and, you know, I go to the home games, and so that's the one I'm going to do. So our first game is Monday, September 1st, Labor Day, that night, against the Texas Christian University Horned Frogs, I think, is there, whatever they are. It's TCU. I think it's Texas Christian. Anyway, so I am going to do, my plan is to do 10 stitches per point that we score. If we suck, then I will probably add some other element to base my stitches off of in addition to points that we score. You know, if we only score, you know, 7 points per game, then I might add something else. You know, it's a definite new year for us this year. Not, you know, we had Mac Brown got fired, we had people leave, but then we hired Bill Belichick, which is kind of a mixed bag in my opinion. But we had a lot of people, you know, some people transfer because of that. But he's never coached college, and, you know, so we will see. It should be an interesting season, if nothing else. So I am going to do Gridiron Grind with the UNC Tar Heels. That is, I believe, 12 games, unless we make a ball. And if we make a ball game, then I will do that as well. Editing Susan here. I forgot to mention that the project I'm going to use for this is the Schoolhouse Rock Sal that I showed you earlier. So, and then the game that I'm going to do for September is, I recently joined the Magazine Monthly Challenge Facebook group, and they are doing AB Singo again. So I have made a board for that for September. Actually, I'll show you that real quick. I keep all my, this is my like regular planner, my personal planner. And I create all the games and stuff that I play for my personal tracking. I create in, like, I do a page each month that has, well, I'll just kind of show you because it's between the, do a page each month for like my goals for the month. And then I track, like, when I was doing temperature stitching, I had that chart, and when I decided to do whip into shape, I just made kind of a list there. I have my, whip go board is hand drawn and in my planner. And if you're interested in how I do my tracking, let me know. I'll be glad to do kind of maybe a shorter video on that. But anyway, what I was trying to say is, show you, is I've created my AB Singo board. This is my AB Singo board. I'm going to have to put my glasses on to read this stuff. So what I did with AB Singo, you use the alphabet. They've kind of changed the way to do it, apparently. There's now 35 squares on the grid, so you won't necessarily get a bingo. But because they will only call, I think, through the 1st through the 25th, they're only going to call 25 calls. And so you have the entire alphabet, A through Z, which is 26, and then you have 9 numbers, 1 through 9. And what you're supposed to do is for the alphabet, you assign projects that you can somehow relate to that letter of the alphabet. And then for the numbers this time, they are doing, that's, if you like say 6 is called, you do 6 motifs on that project. So you assign a project to the number based on the number of motifs that you would do. So what I did is I picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think 7 projects. Did I make a full list? I don't think I made a list of I picked 7, I think it's 7 projects for the alphabet and then 2 projects for the motifs. And so I will be working on, like, A is a mid-Amish life, because I've been wanting to work on that. And all the projects for the alphabet, I think all the projects I picked except for 1 are projects I have not worked on at all this year. So the projects that I'm going to be working on are Mid-Amish Life, Bluebird of Happiness, which is JBW Designs, Tree of Magic, which is Barbara Anna, Lady Liberty from Twin Peak Primitives, Nature's Peace, which I just showed you. That's the one that is not one I had not touched this year, because I want to get more. I want to get closer to finishing that. Halloween Quaker by Leela Studio, and Moonlight Sampler by The Blue Flower. And I think that's all the ones I picked for the alphabets, yeah. And so each of those has, like, I think 3 or 4 spots on there. Either 3 or 4, depending on. Most of them have 4. There's like 2 that only have 3. And then for the numbers, where I would work motifs, the number of motifs for the number called, for 1 through 4, I've picked And a Forest Grew by, who is that by? I can't remember who that's by. I'll put it across the screen. It won't come to me right now. And then the other one I picked for 5 through 9 is 272 Words by Primrose. I think it's Primrose Needleworks. And for that one, I will do the number. So motifs will be words. So if it's 5, I'll do 5 words. So that is my plan. And then basically you do the thing. And then I basically used a random number generator and put, 1 through 30 or A, whatever. I did a wheel and spun it, and that's how I decided which one went in which box. So, so that's my grid. Here's my gridiron grind that shows the date and all the teams will be playing, so that I can put the score and how many stitches and then how many actual stitches, because I have a tendency, if I pull something out and I'm having fun, I'll a lot of times do more than I planned. For AB Singo, the requirement, I think, for the game is that they suggest that you do 100 to 200 stitches. And so my goal will be to do at least the 100, but I may do more each time, because those are all projects that I would like to make some decent progress on. So, anyway, I have all kinds of, I do a lot to try. I have lists of all my whips, and I keep running totals of how many stitches I did each month and blah, 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 and all that stuff. And I mean, actually, if anybody's interested in how I track my stitches. The way I tell you percentages and stuff like that is Markup shows me, but I also use an app that Blitz Stitch designed that tracks my time and, numbers of stitches remaining and stuff, in addition to what Markup shows me. So, because sometimes Markup only shows me like the squares, but when I count back stitching, the numbers in my app are more accurate because Markup isn't counting back stitching. So anyway, if anybody's interested in hearing more about that and me doing like a separate little video on the various ways I track stuff, I'm happy to talk about it, but I don't want to bore you to death with it. So those are the 2 challenges I'm starting in September. Calendar, Barefoot Needle Arts Retreat is first weekend of October. Christina and I were talking yesterday, realizing it's only like 5 or 6 weeks away. Before we know it'll be here. I have signed up for several retreats already for 2026. Barefoot Needle Arts is doing a new retreat next May called Simply Stitching, which is going to be hosted actually in Dillard, Georgia, which is in the mountains of Georgia. I'm going to be going to that. I don't think they're full. I think there may be a few spots left. I think it's limited to only like 75 or 100 people. 100 people maybe. I'm not sure, but I think they have a couple spots left if you're interested. But if you are, you probably need to jump on that. So they've got more information on their website. Along the left side, there's a tab called Events. And when you pop that open, there's all their events. I signed up for the Queen City Chatelaine Retreat next July. And amazingly, shockingly, they did not fill up in the first 24 hours. So anybody that signed up in the first 24 hours got in. So I will be at that. I believe they do have, well, as of last night, they had a couple of spots left. But they are still taking, they have left sign-ups open because even if they filled those spots, they will keep your name for the waiting list. Because, you know, that's a year away. So, somebody's going to have to change their plans between now and then. So there may be spots that come open if you're interested in that. You do not have to stitch chatelaine to go to that retreat. You do not have to stitch chatelaine at that retreat. But the brag table will be limited chatelaines, and there will be lots of gorgeous blingy chatelaines. When I went to the one this year, which I got into off the wait list, by the way, at the beginning of that weekend, I remember saying to somebody, I think I said it to Amy, actually, who's one of the organizers, when she was talking about next year that they were going to do Chatelaine weekend again, and it was going to be bigger, because this first one was smaller. I think we only had like 48 people, and this next one next year is their full amount, which I think is like 144 or something like that. I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to do that. I'll do that one, you know, one chatelaine retreat might be enough for me or something like that. But by the end of the weekend, had decided I was definitely doing chatelaine again next year. If for no other reason, it motivates me to work on my chatelaines. Excuse me. So, and then also Millennial Fabrics, who is actually, so Millennial Fabrics is a fabric dyer, but she has a website. She is also a full online cross stitch shop. So she does patterns and floss and stuff like that too. So check her website out. But they are doing their first retreat next year. They are actually doing 2 weekends back to back in Roanoke, Virginia. It's called Stitch Ridge. And the first weekend is like the last weekend in July, and the second weekend is the first weekend in August. I will be at the first weekend, which is the weekend right after the chatelaine retreat. I believe she may have a few spots still open for that as well. That one, I think, is the one that's $75 per weekend. So anyway, check that out if you're interested in that. That's in Roanoke, Virginia, which is about an hour north of Greensboro, I guess. Hour and a half north of Greensboro. It's kind of in the mountains, foothillish mountains of Virginia. It's really, you know, nice little area. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm thinking I may have to skip Barefoot in February because we are still planning to go to Hawaii. It's looking like now either March or early April, because the week I was planning to go, the General Assembly messed up because that's the week they're coming back. So now we've got to go a little earlier. We're still trying to figure out the exact date. But I'm thinking that since I've added the May retreat and I've got the 2 July retreats, and then I will definitely want to go to Barefoot in October, that I may need to be an adult about it and skip the February retreat. And it's the retreat itself, you know, their retreat fee is not that much, but then of course you get the hotel room. And the biggest issue is I have no willpower, and when I'm confronted with the store, I spend tons of money. But that's probably just money, since will be before the Hawaii trip. It's probably money I need to not spend in favor of going to Hawaii. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, so that's all it for calendar. We are almost at an hour, and I have not done stashing for retirement yet, but I'm still going to do it. So hopefully you'll stick around for that. I'm going to pause you for 1 second. It'll be literally 1 second for you, and get my stuff, and I'll be right back. Okay, stashing for retirement. A couple things I forgot to show you last time when I was at the Stitch and Thrift Retreat and stayed with my friend Peggy. She gave me a couple things that she either had duplicates of or had already stitched. And first up is Labor for Learning from Plum Street. Pretty sure she gave me that, and that I didn't get it off the table. I think so. I think she gave it to me. And then she gave me a couple of Satsuma kits. I mean, the patterns and leftover, like, beads and sequins and stuff for Satsuma. She's got the Hoppy Halloween. And I have sequins and stuff that I can, and the floss is all DMC. And then this one I got to pull out because it's showing part of the chart. Come on out. It doesn't want to come out. Oh, come on. I want to make sure I don't spill anything. There we go. This one is Mitten Kitten. Like a little Christmas one. I have PDFs of several of Satsuma's ornaments and stuff because, like I said, I have my own perforated paper, and I bought like a sequin pack off of Amazon that I can use and stuff, but I haven't done any of those yet. Okay, so I bought a couple of new t-shirts. This one I blame Alex from Stitcher's Hollow. Is that the new name? They renamed their floss tube last year. Now I can't remember earlier this year. And I can't remember. I think it's Stitcher's Hollow. Alex and Neil, who are cousins, and Alex lives in Waynesville, North Carolina. She had this shirt on in their most recent video, and so I scoured Etsy till I found it. And it says, most likely to start 5 new projects before finishing one, which is definitely me. And then from the same person that I saw when I when I found that one, she also had cross stitch pattern collector. I'll stitch them someday. So I got that one. And actually, I think I ended up getting the exact same color that Alex had in this one. So if I'm ever at something with her, I will be twinsies. Okay, let's see. What have I bought? Heart and Hand released a new Tiny Town. It's quilted Tiny Town. So I ordered it from Barefoot. And I also got the quilted frill. I was watching Heidi, who is the potty mouth stitcher, but she also has an Etsy shop called Cottage Cat Designs, or The Cottage Cat. Hold on, let me find her card in here so I can tell you right. The Cottage Cat Designs on Etsy. And she also included this. If you watch her floss, this is one of her favorite sayings on her floss tube. Get your poop in a group. So this says, get your poop in a group. It's time to stitch. And so she sewed some new floss drops on her last floss tube, and I ordered some. So I got some. There's more than just the picture you're going to see. Each one, if you go to her Etsy site, you can see all the pictures on them. I got one that's like some Halloween. I got one that was more like fall pumpkins, but in different interesting colors. And then I got another one that's like these Halloween animals that were cute. I cannot resist her floss drops. And she also will be vending at Barefoot, and so I'm sure I will buy more. She also included this card that I probably won't use because I don't swap flosses between bags, but it's a card with her thing on it, but it says, looking for me, and it has a line for a floss name. You can find me in this other project bag. So for those of you who swap flosses, use flosses between bags, I prefer to have a full set of whatever floss that project needs in each project bag. It may not necessarily be a full skein every time, but I at least have some of that floss on a floss drop in each bag. So, speaking of bags, Vicky Stitch and Button had some new bags, and I had not looked at them. But then Jessie Marie showed one on her floss tube that she bought for her Blue Ridge, which is the pattern that she blames me for, and so I decided that I had to have it too because I loved it, and you know, we have to be twinsies and all things. Sorry, Jessie Marie. So I got this bag from Stitch and Button, Vicki Stitch and Button. She has a Facebook group and sells her bags through that. She puts up an album of the bags she's doing, and she does vinyl front, has a little tree charm on it. And she gave me a little 2024 charm and a mascara wand thing, and also a little project information card. Set that there. And then, of course, since I was looking, I looked at all the other bags she had available, and I got this dragonfly one. So, because you know I love dragonflies. So this one's just the blue and then blue inside. And this has a, sorry, she nicely tucks the charm, and this one has like a little blue dragonfly charm on it. So I got those 2 new bags. Well, I'm mixing Stitchy Kindness in here with stashing for retirement. The patterns from Peggy. Denise from Black Ribbon Stitch Studios had messaged me and asked if she could have my address. And she so sweetly sent me, well, she sent me this cute little card with a very nice little note in it. And she sent me this, it's a complete kit. Jim Shore from Design Works. What is that? I'm trying to find the name of it. 12 Days, that's the name of it. So it's a Jim Shore like Santa, but it's got like 12 Days of Christmas there in his dress. So I have looked at this pattern multiple times, like kits and stuff online, and I think I looked at it even at some point when in like Joann's or Michael's, and just have never pulled the trigger on it. But I love it, so I will definitely start it. I'm not sure when. I am going to try to start it this Christmas, because now that I've passed 100, I can start all of them. So, but thank you so much, Denise. And if you're not watching Denise, please go watch her too. Let's see, from 123 Stitch, I got a few more of the Christmas Village. I got Citibank, Village Bakery, and then this is not Christmas Village. This is an older one that I saw. I just happened to see, and so I got it. It's the French Horn Santa. I played French horn growing up in concert band, so got that. And then I ordered from Stitchers Memphis, Sarah. She had posted on Instagram. I showed you last time that I had caved and bought the Celebration chart from Rosewood Manor with the big Mount Vernon on it. And Sarah had the called for fabric and specialty floss. So I ordered from her the called for fabric, which is a 32 count linen from Grace Notes Fabrics and the colorway Michelle, which is showing up very much charcoal gray here, but it has it is definitely a charcoal gray, but it has a tinge of kind of bluish purple to it. So, and then I got also the specialty floss, the Rainbow Gallery that you need for that, for the fireworks. And because I had looked elsewhere online and nobody had all of it, but then I saw Sarah's post and got that. And then she sent me this pretty little scissor fob with the dragonfly on it, because she knows how much I love dragonflies. And the little tree of life in the heart, beautiful colors, sent me that. And I think that's actually going to go on the bag that has my dragonfly lace mandala on it. And then, like I said, my friend Michelle and I went to Greensboro a couple weeks ago, and we went to Stitch Point. And you know, I mean, Peggy wasn't even there to enable me, and there were other strangers in the shop enabling me. Not so much on the cross stitch, but on the one thing I'm going to show you. So let me show you the cross stitch I got, and then we'll show you what I really got enabled on. So I had not ordered this during market, and I kind of regretted it. And they had some still, which is the Night Garden Threadworks Floss Pack. So I bought that, and I primarily wanted it because I really loved this pattern. So I bought this, Twilight Moon by Tiny Modernist. One of the things I do love about Stitch Point is she has an awesome sale bin. And she puts stuff in the sale bin, and it's usually, I don't know if it's 40% off, 50%. It's a reasonable amount off. So I think all of these came from the sale bin. Primrose Cottage American Celebration. So again, that's not really an old chart, but it was in the sale bin. This one I had never seen, but interestingly enough, I've seen it since then on a website of some store. When was it? I was looking to see if there was a date on it, but I don't see a copyright date on it. It's by Running with Needles and Scissors, and it's from a series, I guess, called May the Needles Rest in Peace. This is number 4. It's called Lottie Ostache, and it says, Lottie Ostache, she started a lot and finished a few. She had many a plan before to heaven she flew. So I thought the started a lot and finished a few was very appropriate for me, particularly now that I've hit 100 whips. And then a Plum Street that I had not bought, that's from, I think, last year or so, 2022, is Christmas in July. I will probably leave the words off of that. And, yeah, so Christmas in July. And then this one is Harvest Moon by Annie B's Folk Art. I just really liked that, so I picked that one up. And then I bought some floss. So mainly, put the bag down. Mainly what I want to do most of the Primrose Cottage Quakers, and I want to do them all mostly in variegated floss, but some of the colors that they use are not, I don't dislike them, but they're not what I think of for that season or that holiday or whatever. So I bought, like, this color I bought to do, like, the winter one. And I bought, let's see, and I bought 2 of everything because I think some of them, depending on what count, I don't know what count fabric I want to do on yet. And if I do it on like 14 or 28 or 32, I may need more than one. For the autumn one, I'm undecided between this, which is DMC 4122. This is one of the, I can't remember what they're called. There's a name for the type of variegated floss they are. Or doing a much more muted, I don't know if you can see, like the purples and grays and browns in that. So we'll see. I'm not sure about that. I also bought this week's Starbucks Trick or Treat because, like, the Halloween one is done in like separate DMC colors, but I might just do it in a variegated without swapping out the different colors. One of the Christmas ones needs a red and a green, and so I got this variegated green and a red because I will probably do more green than red. I'll probably swap that out some. And then I got this one for like one of the 4th of July, like American ones. And even if I don't use them for those, I just figured that was cool. So, that is the cross stitch stuff I bought is Stitch Point. But then, so Michelle was looking for some yarn and she was winding yarn, and we were somebody was checking out, we were sitting and chatting. I think I was looking up something on my phone. I think I was looking at those Primrose Cottage patterns, the pictures of them on my phone, trying to decide which ones I wanted to look for floss for. And somebody had come in and was asking Patsy, the owner, a cross-stitch question. And Patsy's not really a cross-stitcher. I think somebody else that works in the store is, and they weren't there that day. And Michelle kind of volunteered me, pointed me and said I was a cross-stitcher. And so I was talking to the woman, and then I was sitting in the chair. Anyway, long story short, I looked up behind Patsy, and like I said, they're a needlepoint store. And they had some models up behind the checkout counter, and they had this one, which I will put a picture of. And I said, Michelle, tell me that I do not need a needlepoint ornament of the Grinch. And before she could say anything, two other women that were in the store that were picking out floss for needlepoint says, "Oh, you definitely need a needlepoint ornament of the Grinch." So then we were laughing because when me, Peggy, and Michelle are together, Peggy and I are always the ones enabling each other and buying the store out. Michelle is the rational one who goes in and gets one thing and spends $20 or, whatever amount she set in her head beforehand. She's definitely the more adult of the three of us when it comes to spending money on craft supplies. So anyway, I bought the needlepoint canvas for this Grinch ornament. And then, of course, I had to buy, silks and everything else for it. Like I got this red velvet. I bought lots. Patsy had done the model, so she was able to tell me a lot of what she had done. So like I bought the red velvet that she used for like the coat and hat. I got this for the background, which is a little bit less white than hers, but has sparkle in it. I got the white whisper for like around the fluff of the hat, and then I got silks for the rest of it. So green for the Grinch, and then there's black outline, and then some yellow and gold for the eyes, which obviously that yellow and gold is more than I will need, but who knows if I become a needle pointer. I have, when I was home recently, my mom and I took a needlepoint class at Stitch Point a couple years ago from Jean Farish, and we had a project with that, and I finished mine, but Mom had never finished hers, and she gave it to me recently and said, "Here, I need you to finish this for me." So I'm going to probably work on that a little bit to get back in the groove of like how the Continental Stitch stuff goes before I start this, but I don't know. This needlepoint goes so fast. I sent a picture of all this to Sarah at Stitchers Memphis Sarah E, and told her I was blaming her for this because when we were at Chatelaine, she was having a conversation with someone else about needlepoint and all that was involved in that and stuff. So it just got me thinking about needlepoint again. So anyway, so I do want to start that soon. Ideally, I would love to finish it before Christmas. Of course, then I've got to figure out how to actually fully finish a needlepoint piece. No idea. But I'm sure there's a YouTube video somewhere that I can somehow figure it out. So, anyway, I think that is it for stashing for retirement. So that is it for everything. And it looks like I'm at like almost an hour and 20 minutes. But, so if you lasted this long, I appreciate you checking me out. I will plan to be back into the month. The last weekend of the month is Labor Day weekend, but it is also my husband's birthday weekend. And then I know that Labor Day night is the football game. Our first football game is 8 p.m. on Monday night, Labor Day. So my mother and I are going, and we have decided we got a hotel room in Chapel Hill because we just figured we'd crash there for the night. Then I'll either go to work from there or I may take that Tuesday off. I haven't decided yet. And then she can drive back in daylight instead of driving home at like, midnight after you get out of the game and stuff. So there's a possibility I might record on Monday the 1st before I go to Chapel Hill, but it's more likely that I will be sometime that week recording. It might be as late as, it might be that Thursday we are going to the James Taylor concert in Raleigh that Thursday night. So Friday the 5th, I will either be working from home or may take the day off. I haven't decided that yet either. I haven't decided if I want to take Monday and Friday off or one or the other or neither. Haven't decided. September 1st and 5th, rather. Sorry. So I will record sometime that week. And it will probably be no later than Friday the 5th. I just don't know exactly when. So anyway, I hope you liked what you saw. Like I said, if you enjoyed it, I appreciate it if you'd like, subscribe, do all the things. Please feel free to leave me a comment below and tell me, anything you have to say. Ask me a question. On the cross stitch, anything I didn't mention that you're curious about, there is a link to a spreadsheet below that has most of the basic information about all the patterns I'm currently working on. There are project pages on Ravelry for all of my knitting and crochet projects. And you can also email me at criminallycreative1@gmail.com, or you can message me on Instagram. I'm criminallycreative1 there as well. So again, appreciate you checking me out. Hope everyone is doing well, winding up their summer. If you've got kids at school or are in school yourself, starting school. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, I guess things are warming up for you instead of cooling down. But I am definitely looking forward to more cool. It has been back up in the 90s, well into the 90s again here after a few days of cooler temperatures last week. So hope everyone is staying safe with all the natural weather stuff that's going on all over the world. There's a hurricane out in the Atlantic right now, which looks like is not gonna actually come fully into shore. We'll probably get some rain from it, but hopefully not much more than a little bit of rain. But I know that there's been monsoons and all kinds of stuff all over the place. So just stay safe wherever you are. Hope you have some time for stitching, and I will see you in a couple weeks. Bye, y'all.